You are listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across the world about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories, help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with my co-host of the Our Agent podcast, Vikram Deol. Where are you at right now in the world? Like, I've been following your journey, and you seem like you're in a different country every single time I chat with you, or you seem like you're in a different Airbnb every single time I chat with you. Before we introduce our guest, tell me how you're doing.
Well, you left me, Cody, last month, and you broke up with me, and I lost my little spoon, and it was so sad. And I've been, since the last time we've recorded a podcast, which I actually don't know when, I've been in Patagonia, then I was up in Lima, and then Santiago, and now I'm back in Colombia. I'm in Barranquilla. With my video team. We're actually recording the new course, the new trim course, the Trust, Rapport, Influence method. I'm using conscious communication methods that I've developed over the years. From here, I go to Cartagena, and then in 10 days, I'm going to set up home base in Medellin. And we should probably do like a 3-day podcast on just our experiences together, and then my solo travel, because it's been wild. Like yesterday, just to wrap a little bit. Yesterday, wake up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a shower early. I'm not going to go to the gym in the morning. I got some things to prepare for the course. I'll go to the gym in the evening. The guys are coming over. Let me shower, be ready, blah, blah, blah. Right as I in my shower, do my hair, powder my nuts, the fucking water turns off. And it was off for 14 hours. And I tell the Airbnb host, I'm like, yo, after like the 9th hour, I'm like, I think it would be appropriate. Like it might be appropriate, right? Like it might be appropriate for you guys to put me up in a hotel. She goes air silent on me. And then she messaged me this morning at 8 o'clock, like 14 hours later. She's like, oh, I heard the water's back on. I was like, yes, no help to you guys. I finally was able to go poo-poo. Thank you so much, and flush my toilet. Like I was literally, those big 6-liter jugs that we bought.
Yeah.
I had to fill the toilets up to flush, right? Like Vijay will appreciate this, being from India. I had to fill the toilet up with clean water to flush, because like everything. And then we go to lunch, right? I was making boiled eggs. You know me, I love my eggs. I'm making boiled eggs. And I was like, dude, we have no water. How are we going to wash our hands? Like everything after food, blah, blah, blah. I forget to turn the stove off, and it's like on medium heat. So I forget to turn the stove off.
You're a wreck.
We walk up to the,
You're a wreck.
We walk up to the door, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I didn't, because it smells, right? It smells of burning and eggs. I'm like, oh, fuck. Open the door. Bro, I did not know this, but eggs explode. Like they don't like crack, they explode. So the eggs are like all on the top of the stove. They're all over, like 10 feet away. The eggs exploded. Like there's egg chunks everywhere. And this mic and a couple of other like electronics that I was like, oh my God, when I looked at the ground, there's egg everywhere. And I look at the ground, I'm like, oh, I hope my electronic stuff, like my mics and things, didn't get egg all around it. These glasses covered in egg. I was like, it took us an hour to clean up, and then the house smelled like egg the whole day, and we couldn't clean the pots. We couldn't wipe things down properly. It was like a whole day of egg smell. And then finally the water turned on at like midnight, and I was able to flush the toilets. It was great. So anyways, that's where I'm at. That's what we're doing. And today we're jamming with Vijay.
Yeah. This is exciting. Vijay. I don't know how to intro after that story. Like that, like this is like probably one of the weirdest intros. Yeah.
I'll get Vijay. So Vijay is a good friend of mine that I met through Tony Robbins years ago. He's a hustler. He's not necessarily in the agent space of real estate, but he's done M&As. He's bought businesses. He's been in the tech world. He's a savvy investor. And there's 2 reasons why I really wanted to bring Vijay on. There's a lot that you guys can capture from him knowledge-wise on social. He shares a lot of really inspirational, thoughtful things online. So he'll give you all of his handles at the end. But there's 2 things that I think that are really important. And one is that Vijay is a immigrant, and he has the immigrant mindset. And if you guys have been following me, you know that Bedros Keuilian, with the project, and Fit Body Bootcamp is a big like influence in my life. And he talks about the immigrant mindset, Sharon, the immigrant mindset, right? Like shoveling himself through dumpsters as a kid. You don't forget those things. So one is, I think having the immigrant mindset is kind of like having a recession proof mindset. And two, Vijay is an investor. And so every real estate agent should have a list of 30, 50, 100, 500 investors, because the retail market might not what you want, but the investors are always going to look, and they will always appreciate you sending them things. So I think with that, I think those are the two topics that I really want Vijay to go deep into. But Vijay is a baller, Tony Robbins guy, just super. I mean, if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, Cody and I barely are dressed, and Vijay's rocking like a beautiful blue suit, blue shirt, sexy tie, pocket square. Like, you guys should watch on YouTube just to see Vijay looking sexy. But without further ado, Vijay, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life to bless our audience with some knowledge.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother, for having me on the show. And thank you, Cody. This is the first time I met Cody early on. And thank you for the beautiful, welcoming intro. So I think when you talked about the immigrant mindset, the first thing that comes to me is, the readiness in order to face any kind of scenario. So when I moved to this country about 20 years ago, 22 really to be precise, and I was 21, I didn't know a single person. But I think when you go to a foreign country and you're able to face the world with just very little money in the pocket, you're ready, because it's like Steve Jobs says, you're already naked. You just want to survive. I'm going to thrive. I'm going to take this to the next level. I'm going to make an impact and move from there. So thank you very much for that intro about the immigrant mindset. And that's what I think everybody, they have that within themselves. We can name it immigrant mindset. We can call whatever labeling we want, but we're explorers within our hearts. And we want to explore the greatest capacity that we're gifted by God. And that's, I think, must be there for every agent, every investor, and every professional, and every human being must have that kind of thought. Is that something that makes sense?
Yeah. I want to dive into that, because I have conversations with real estate agents consistently. I had a conversation last week with an agent who wants to 3x his production this year. That was literally the conversation. And I asked him what his plan was in order to make that happen. And there's a lot of people that are coming at this year, 2023, an uncertain mindset, because it's an uncertain market. Like, interest rates are rising. Inventory in certain markets is low. Obviously every market is going to be different. What type of mindset did you have coming into your first business? Because I think a lot of real estate agents listening to this are most likely on their first business. How did you adapt early on when you started your first business? Because now you have multiple businesses and multiple successes. What was the initial mindset that you went into that business with, and how did you overcome some of the obstacles or some of the uncertainty in order to get to where you are today?
That's a great question. My first business was in the technology space, and started with a few, I think a few $1,000s that I had during the recession of 2008. And at that time, I started it because where I was working, there was too much of uncertainty, and they were laying off people. Top talent, was available, but they didn't have anything. And you guys must know how it was. Like, if you go to Chili's or something, you are the only person. I mean, that's terrible, particularly in California and places like that. But when I started it, what I thought was, do not start the business because you want to survive. You start the business because you want to help someone, or some kind of problem you want to solve. But when you're solving a problem, what is it you're ultimately doing? You're helping someone. That's what the key is. Whom are you helping? So if it is, for example, like a real estate agent, who are they helping? Are they helping an investor? Everybody's an investor deep inside, whether they believe it or not. But are they helping a human being? Of course they are. Are they making an impact? Of course they are. So when I started this business, I wanted to help technology professionals, come up with a stable, an employer that does not like kind of look at them as, okay, we're just gonna like kind of like use them for profit, or let's kind of like find something for them temporarily. Let's make a quick buck here, quick buck there. Instead, what I kind of like, I built a relationship with them, understanding what their true needs are. And also it's the same for everybody. Just like Tony Robbins says, there are 6 human needs. I didn't know this about that time, but if you come with a open heart, you want to serve people, you want to help them, you understand their needs, and that's the need and they understand that you really care. And I was listening to one of the other things on YouTube where they talk about Mother Teresa. She really cares, and spending like even like 15-20 minutes with that kind of a person will give us a lot of like change in our own thinking. So what the first thing is, you have to care. Not the investor should care about me. I mean, if you go with that mindset, I'm going to do these things and I'm going to become invaluable to the investor. But if you care, definitely you become invaluable. I think that's one of the things that I learned from my first business.
It's always exciting to hear about people who can't, I was doing the math in my head. You said you came 22 years ago. So you came around 2000, 2001, had a job for 7 years, 7, 8 years. And then you got into your own line of work, your own business, and you didn't get into it for the profit, right? Like when real estate agents get into business, the 3 things they say is I got in because I wanted more time, I wanted more freedom, and I wanted more finances. Very few real estate agents say that they got into the business to help people, right? Like why did you, right? Like, why did you have that mindset, or where did that mindset come from of service of others first, and that will take care of me? Like, how did you not have the fear of starting a business in a recession, which we're in right now, and not be like, oh my God, me, because that's one of the challenges that most people in every space have is, how do I make money? How do I make money? And that makes it very hard to serve.
That's a great question. Vikram, thank you for asking that. And as I think about it, I mean, it comes from your own reflection. So before I started the business, I was working at an employer. I worked for multiple employers. I did see that, how they treated the people, right? And there is always something that you can do better than your employer, anybody else that you deal with. You can always do something better. It may not be everything better than them, but at least something you can do it for sure. So once I saw that, because in those days, immigration was even more hard than now, and then so the scenario what I felt was like, hey, there's got to be a better way to kind of like live. And some of the opportunities that I saw that the people in the United States who were born, they were not capitalizing on that too. So it's nothing to do with an immigrant or non-immigrant or whatever you call it, or a citizen. It's just understanding and seeing what is happening with you. What's the hole within you? You can never fill in the hole. The only way you can do that is by serving others. So one of the things what I felt was, in those days, like many employers were not paying people on time because even my own company, when I started the S&P 500, one of the clients was there through them, and they defaulted. They said 30 days we're going to pay. And then they paid in 90 days. But I gave a promise to my employees that I'm going to pay them no matter what, because I knew that was a need in those days. And I took up a second job. I mean, it wasn't easy. Yeah. I mean, this positive mindset mixed with your heart set is what you need.
Wow.
You have to open your heart. That's what it is. Once you open your heart, there's no, you understand that, hey, this is my brother. This is my sister. That's what the kind of like thing is. And once you open it, it shows up, in whatever you do.
I remember a story, Cody, if I can share something that you shared with me when you were first getting into, I mean, it wasn't actually first, it was like, we've all been there, but you're like super stressed out a while ago when we first met. And I'm like, bro, what's wrong? You're like, dude, I haven't taken payroll in months, or not months, maybe a couple of weeks or something. Because you had a couple of chargebacks, and they were, big chargebacks, like, and you were super stressed about it. And I remember we were walking and we were talking about it, and I was like, you're like, I got to make payroll. Like I can't not pay my team, and your team's large. You know, at that point, I think you had like 18 people. So you're like, how do I make payroll? And I'm like, you'll figure it out, bro. Like, but this is what gives you the heart and that ability to take care of others, even when you're super stressed, is what makes those people also take care of you when you're super stressed. And then when times are good, they don't leave. They don't like, oh, this guy's paying me $5 more an hour, but they remember like Vijay took care of me, Cody took care of me, Vikram took care of me, Paul took care of me. So like, I think that's something that's really cool, that even though you took on a second job, it's the WIO attitude, the WIT attitude, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. Like, it's just, that's cool, man. That's cool. Sorry, Cody, I didn't mean to cut you off and share your dirty secrets.
No, like that. Thank you for sharing that. Cause I, I so relate to that as a business owner with, a team of, now 18, the same thing but like, I love what you said about the positive mindset mixed with a positive heart set. Like that for me was like, what, like that is so accurate. And, just treating people like humans. And it's something that I know Vikram and I ascribe to, especially in the real estate space, is like everyone you speak with could be a potential client. They might not be a potential client now, but they could be a potential client 3, 6, 9, 12 months. I'm really curious, because you are an investor, about how real estate agents going into this year, because we say everyone should have 30 to 50 to 100 investors on their list to, providing value. Like, you as an investor, like, what are you looking for, and how could a real estate agent provide you value? And like, what do you think is the go above and beyond in order to support you with that positive mindset, positive heart set as a real estate agent?
That's a great question. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the most important things that any agent must remember when they're like approaching any investor for that is, first is they have to understand the needs of the investor, right? I can tell you my needs, which is pretty much like, I'm looking for cash flow and appreciation. That's what mostly the investors do. They look for that. Some are only looking for massive appreciation or a flip deal where they wanted to get quick in and exit out. That's how it works in that. But I'm actually a real estate syndicator. So I'm looking to get investors myself also, while I'm investing in the deals myself. So each investor has their own persona, whatever they have. And an investor falls either active, passive, or a combination of both. So to understand that first three things, before you kind of present your solution, it's seek to understand, just like how Stephen Covey says. And when you're seeking to understand, it shouldn't be a fake understanding. Like, you just really need to connect with them and understand in depth. And that takes time a little bit, and that takes effort. You can't like call in one call and say, tell me what your needs are. The investor would feel there's no rapport, first of all, built. And they're going to say, we can't, I just want cash flow. I just want this, and that's it. But that's not the true thing. What are they trying to achieve with that cash flow? Right. What is it that they're trying to do, really? Mm. And once they have to go one step beyond, what is it? A great mentor of mine, Nadeem, he lives in California. He said to me, pay attention to what they're saying, and also pay attention to what they're not saying, which was very helpful for me throughout this. So that's what I think an agent should do. They're a detective. That's what they are. And they have to detect what's in the mind of the client, asking and without asking. Because there are certain points you can't ask them, but you build rapport and do it. I have a great agent that I work with who's super aggressive in presenting the deals as soon as I ask him, but he's not pushy in selling it. That's why I work with him. He knows that I'm going to take action as soon as I find the right deal. His name is Vashi Kemlani, and he lives in South Florida. Probably you can meet him too, Vikram. I'm actually, by the way, going to Miami next week. I'm there on 26. Maybe I can meet you face to face, Vikram. But
I will be sitting on the beach of Cartagena with Joe Dispenza meditating.
Wow,
I'm sure.
wow.
But if you're there long enough, I'll be back in Miami late February. Oh
One
shit.
day after. But anyway,
I,
I think
I have a question for you, Vijay. So for a lot of agents, right, they get told by investors, and I remember when I was a new agent and I had investor clients that would come up to us and they'd say, hey, we see you guys are selling real estate and we would love for you to send us deals. And I said, okay, what's a deal for you? Like, I don't know what a deal is, right? And he said, well, we're looking for cash flow and we're looking for appreciation, right? I said, okay, what does that mean? Right? So like do investors have different ideas of what cash flow is to them? I know there's the 1% rule, and maybe you can unpack that for us, right? For cash flow. I know appreciation in a market like now is probably a little different than it was in 2017. So when you say cash flow, because I don't know that a lot of agents understand cash flow deeply enough, and I don't think they, are going to ask the investor, what does that mean? Because they feel like they'll look stupid. So can you unpack what it means to have cash flow and what your syndication or your personal, number is? Like, is it 1%? Is it 5%? Like, just kind of share a little bit.
I mean, that's a great question. Like, we recently did a deal in South Florida. For that, I mean, it's at a 10% cap rate, and each investor, some of the investors are getting more. That's how we have done it. So again, the way this works is, for me, I think if you go with Rich Dad and Poor Dad, that book, if you've read it, you want like at least 20% return. And it can come through a combination of cash flow and appreciation. So I go into the depth of seeing what timing of the investment and what are the improvements. Some investors, let's say in simple terms, for a realtor who's working with somebody who's just buying a single family rental, right? For example, then first he has to understand, even before presenting the property, what's the interest rates that's going on out there, how much down they're going to put, right? With that, they got to go the extra mile and then calculate what would be the mortgage. And obviously you can do it in Zillow, or Redfin gives you like sometimes like the what would be the approximate mortgage. So they need to know that even before they go to them. That way, when they present the deal, hey, this thing has I know you said 10% you want, 10% is not available in this market, which is not right now. Right now it's like the interest rates are really high, right? So you just say that, I know you wanted 10%, but if you get this after like 18 months, the Fed can't keep it at that rate. They're going to find ways to lower it. It's not sustainable. So you can refinance it. And then the appreciation, just like how it went before COVID, will happen at that point when they decrease the interest rate. So you are able to like kind of capitalize on this. That's the futuristic view. So an investor wants a vision. A team member wants a vision. You want a vision of anything that you do. Now you can think on your own, but sometimes they don't think themselves. That's what I think an agent can provide them by adding a little bit more value. Hey, I personally think you can do this with this property. This is the going rent. But for example, FIFA is coming on 2026 in Miami. Things like that. They can give that knowledge to their investor. That is if they're working with any investor, right? And that is common for all investors. Now, individual investors, they have to like kind of really understand them. For that, some are like very, very quick, right? They don't share too much. That's going to become harder for them. Then they have to read about them if they're already like in the market. And like I deal with, I was talking to an investor just a couple of weeks ago. So I read everything about them in the LinkedIn. I understood what their hobbies are, whatever it is. So I started the conversation saying, hey, you seem to be a diver. That's how I started the conversation, instead of like, hey, we have this property. You seem to be a diver. And because I'm a diver, I'm a certified scuba diver. So that is an awesome thing for me to even have a friend, even if that deal doesn't happen. So I think they build the rapport and then they understand. Then they become even open more, because it's not just about the money. And they should be true to that. And how do they be true to that? This is your next question, I think.
Right.
Do that. How can they, like Cody asked me, how can they start, serving others, when they want to make money, right? This is the toughest question, right? I can tell you the way I did it. There can be many ways to do that. the way I did it is first I looked at my liabilities on my own, like kind of, personal balance sheet. I looked at my liabilities and I just skinned it down, just like how you trim your body fat. I just kind of like said, okay, you want coffee in the morning, don't get it. This is how I cut it, which takes discipline, and it takes a little bit of effort. You have to let go of something in the beginning for something great. Most people think that's a sacrifice. The definition of sacrifice is you let go of something of low value for something of high value. That's what is sacrifice, right? So that's how they can, first they skin this down, and then they start like serving, because now they can meet that liability, very easily. But if they keep this high, I want to show off to other agents.
Yeah.
They're going to be, then they have that, they have to like meet that liability, which is going to be tough.
When working with, you mentioned a real estate agent that you're working with that is, you said it was extremely aggressive in this presentation. What has been the blueprint for you as an investor to be the best presentation that you've seen? You mentioned Rapport, you mentioned, you mentioned a bunch of different things that, real estate agents can do, but like, obviously understanding, but like maybe walk us through the process that you specifically follow. You mentioned a little bit about diving. Like maybe walk us through deeper the process that you do when you go to investors, maybe that real estate agents can kind of mimic in order to lead with that heart set, that mindset, intention, but also get the deal. Because, we're in a market now where it's like people need to make money and they need to have more conversations, and it's going to be a lot harder this year, and they have to have better strategies. And we talk a lot about that in the Real Estate Growth Academy, is like, you need better strategies. And like, what you did for a year last year wasn't working, you need a new strategy, or you just need to do more of the strategy that you're doing. So can you walk us through like your process around like, speaking to investors? Like, what does that process look like?
The first step is like the research. You should know more than the investor about whatever marketplace that you're presenting to them, right? Second, you should first find out if that's something that they're open to, even in the beginning of the conversation. You might have done, some people have all the research data, and then they present the wrong one to the investor. So really asking the question to the investor, like, sometimes they don't even know what they want. So you have to like present what you have before you can kind of like start serving them, right? So you can present, I've got this, and then I'd like to hear your view. Let the investor talk. And if you try to sell, you're talking too much. If they talk, they're going to tell you everything. So you have to make them feel comfortable, because that's who you really are, And I don't know who said it, but they said it very well. They said, you don't sell to someone, you sell for them. You don't sell to them, you sell for them. So if you were in their shoes, what would make sense? This is a question that we usually ask with our teams ourselves before we present anything to the investor. And then we come up. And the last thing is the show off piece of it. Some of them, I've seen some of the people that have presented to me, they say, hey, if you don't do this deal, it's gonna go and it's off. They say, then if they said it in the same tone that I said, what it means is that could be the truth, but the investor's mind would respond, there's thousands of deals like this, I'm saying no. Just because of that voice, which said that you don't take action, it's gonna go, brother. This is different from you don't take action, it's gone. But how you say it, if you said it, hey, brother, I know things are going on, but this one, of all the deals I've seen, is a good one. Again, you're in charge. You can decide. This is how my realtor tells me. That's why he's been with me. You can decide, you know best, but I feel this is good for these reasons.
Yep.
We saw the previous deal that did not have this. Like maybe it didn't have a basement, or maybe it didn't have a walkout basement. That's one of your requirements, but this one does not have the walkout basement, but it has a growth for appreciation. So you can decide which one is more likely to sell in the future, and which one is more likely to make you more money. That's how you kind of present it to the realtor, to the investor. If they're single family, or I just mentioned for single family because I think most of the real estate agents you said are in the beginning. That's what they'll be selling first to homeowners. So something to mention is ask them the long-term goals. Like, are you going to live in this property for more than 5 years? What's your plan with that? Why do you need these 5 bedrooms? What's your plan with that? You can ask that question and they'll appreciate that. 5 bedrooms. I mean, it's the way again you ask them. You can ask them 5 bedrooms. What's the logic behind that? What do you see in those 5 bedrooms? That's the best question to ask. Do not ask them what's the logic behind it. They don't like it. I mean, you have to like kind of, it'll come through talking to them, right? What if that person is, again, it comes to audio, visual, audio, digital, those are all like Vikram knows, right, from the Tony Robbins thing. That's why they need to be a detective. Okay, this person wants a visual presentation. You can tell them the entire story. They're not going to like it. They need a visual behind it.
Well, I think, you've said a couple of really important things. And as we wrap up here, I think there are a couple of keys that are really important. And one is know your prospect, right? Know the investors. And you guys, here's a cool thing, right? I'll give you guys some tangible things. You can lump investors into groups and you can create emails for these people, right? So if Vijay's a multifamily guy, but he looks at really, really solid investments where they could potentially buy 3 or 4 lots together, and then they could put up a multifamily, you can start to segment and tag your people. And then when you get an investment, you send it out to them, and then you call the investor and say, hey, I just got a good deal. I don't know if it's going to work for you or not, but I know you said you wanted X, Y, and Z. This property has X, Y, and Z. The numbers might not be exactly where you want, but do me a favor. Could you just take a look at it and just let me know whether or not it works for you, right? And then you guys, just like you would do with the buyer, you start to filter down or up the prospect. So you don't want to waste their time, because once you build the relationship with that investor, here's the crazy thing. I've worked with a lot of agents and I've worked with a lot of investors, and I know a lot of agents that work with investors and build and things like that. When you become their trusted advisor, they will literally buy anything you tell them, and they will not fight you over commissions. You say, hey, this one I got to charge you 6% for. They're going to be like, all right, cool. I'm curious, why are you charging me 6%? Normally you charge me 3.5. Why are you charging me 6? Oh, well, I got to pay a couple referral fees out, this, that, and the other. So it's costing me more to bring this deal to you, but you're going to make your 8% minimum over the next 18 months. And if things change and you have a couple of, increases here and here and here and here, you get the 14% that you really wanted. And then you can add on a back room and this and that. The guy's like, send it over. It's done. You guys, I have seen this happen so many times where the investors, I'm literally in the car with my mentor, Randy, and he calls his developer up and he says, hey, I got a piece of dirt. He said, you see it? He's like, I've already seen it, driving home from it right now. It's like, what do you think? He's like, green light, baby. He's like, send me the contract. He's like, I'm like, well, you didn't even talk pricing. He's like, nah, dude. He's like, I've been working with this guy for 10 years. I've never screwed him. He's like, half the deals you send me. I'm like, yeah, you always say no. He's like, that's why, Vikram. He said, that's why I say no to you, because when I send it to him, he says yes, always, because he's never lost money. And so as an agent, what Vijay said is research your prospect, build the trust, and then send them what they want. And you guys can print money in the next 18 months. Print money in the next 18 months with investors.
Just one more thing I want to add, Vikram, if you may, on that one thing.
Yeah, please.
Be trustworthy. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Well, what I've learned over the years, and it's what I teach inside the Real Estate Growth Academy and to my private clients, is that people don't need to like you to do business with you, but they got to trust you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't always like your attorney, but you trust your attorney and you write them big fat checks. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people in this world who you think like you because they trust you, but they don't actually like you as much as you think they do, because they don't invite you to their kid's birthday party. They don't invite you to Christmas dinners, but they trust you with their referrals. They trust you with their money, and they trust you with their business. So people might not like you, but they trust you and they're open with you because they feel confident and safe. And that will change the way that your business works. Cody, any finals?
This was awesome. I'm gonna steal the heart set mindset thing, because that was like positive heart set, positive mindset, because it's something that we just ascribe to. And obviously we share the same type of ethos to, just doing right by people, and doing the right thing is always the right thing. Vijay, I just thank you so much. If somebody were to want to reach out to you, the real estate agent, they want to, contact you, with a potential deal, or maybe, somebody's listening to the podcast and they want to get in contact with you for something else, where is the best place that we can send them?
Now, they can actually reach out to me at my cell phone number, which is 202-423-5295. And they can also go to the website, tamiamicapitalgroup.com. And they can reach me, TAMIAMI capitalgroup.com.
Thank you so much, my friend. This was absolutely amazing. This was a great podcast. And, Vikram, thank you for connecting me with Vijay. That was like absolutely amazing. And I just want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the Our Agent Podcast, the #1 real estate podcast in the world. We'll see you soon.